Welcome back to the Old-Fashioned Real Estate Show. I'm Brian Leverage.
And I'm Jeff Holst.
Yes, he is.
I am. All right, so today we're going to talk about diversification. In particular, I want to share, I just saw on Instagram a video where David Green from Bigger Pockets was reacting to Warren Buffett talking about diversification. And it got me thinking about diversification. And so I thought, why not share my thoughts and your thoughts, Brian, with the interworld?
Okay, and here we go.
Right after this.
Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Real Estate Show, where hosts Brian Leverage and Jeffrey Holst for our old-fashioned real estate advice.
All right.
So, Brian, diversification, is it a thing? Do people do it? Do people like it?
People do it, yeah, of course. And I think we need to, as we will further down in this episode, distinguish between types of diversification. Sure. I think diversification in the sense of investing in different asset classes, stocks, bonds, real estate, etc., for the sake of doing it, doesn't make sense.
Okay, so let's talk first about economic theory real quick, just so that everyone's on the same page. So diversification is, like Brian said, investing in a whole bunch of different stuff. It's spreading your eggs around to multiple baskets. And the idea is if one thing goes bad, the other stuff will support it. And what diversification does is it smooths the up and down curve. If you buy one property, and that's the only property you own, you're riding on that property. If you put all of your money in that property and that property goes bad, it kills you. But of course, the opposite is also true. If it goes really well, you do really well. And we can see this kind of example in people like Mark Zuckerberg, for example. He didn't diversify, and he's very, very well off, right?
Yes.
All of his money is in Meta, right? Facebook. That's it. That's what he does. Now, he might diversify a little bit now, take some chips off the table,
around,
maybe some real estate and stuff like that. But the point is, not diversification, that specialization that he did allowed him to become very, very wealthy, right? Now you have other people like Warren Buffett, who is what triggered this conversation, who he's diversified across a few different companies for sure, but he's not saying, and what he said in the video, for people that didn't see it, is he said, it never made sense to him to just purely diversify, because if you had 50 stocks, it's impossible to believe that the one that you rank 50th is like it as much as the one you rank first.
Right. Or if we're talking about commodities, which is another thing you can invest in. Ask Buffett what he thinks about gold.
Yeah, he doesn't appear to like gold. Some people love gold, right? But the point is, so diversification in general is a strategy that investment advisors typically use to say, hey, you know what? It's really good to invest in mutual funds, which is a basket of stocks or an S&P 500 fund or something, because you're eliminating the risk of any one company going defunct, and you can't outpredict the market. And that might be true in stock investing. For most people, it apparently is not true for Warren Buffett, but it might be true. The typical 401k investor putting $100 a month or $100 a week from their paycheck into the stock market, probably diversification is the right choice.
Well, you kind of just touched on it. I mean, if you're the type of person that doesn't either have the time to learn or be knowledgeable about investing, etc., and it doesn't matter what type of investing we're talking about, then this probably makes sense. Go to somebody that knows more about this stuff than you do, because you probably don't want to be trying to figure it out.
Well, and I'm a terrible stock trader, right?
Yeah.
Every time I try to out-trade the market, I get crushed.
I got out of the market in 14 because it felt toppy to me.
Well, in fairness, I know people that got out of the real estate market in 14 also for that reason. So apparently, you're not always going to be right. But the thing is, for the most part, I'm much less diversified than economic theory would recommend, because I focus on one particular asset class. And I'm saying this in a general sense, and that's real estate.
Yeah.
The vast majority of my net worth is in real estate.
Yes.
And I think the same is true for you.
It is.
Now, that isn't to say I don't own any crypto, I don't own any stocks. I have a tiny bit, but those are just kind of like play things. 99% of my wealth, real estate. And so in a way, I'm not diversified across market sectors, But I am diversified in the sense that I don't own one piece of real estate, right?
Correct.
If it is a risk point, right? If your only main asset is your primary residence, that's a risk point.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now that might be okay for some people, but it isn't diversification.
Yes.
And so this is the distinction that you alluded to at the beginning of the show. There's a difference between just diversifying for diversification's sake and focused diversification, which is like, I'm going to invest in real estate and I want to invest in some real estate on the East Coast and some on the West Coast. That's a different type of diversification. That's market diversification versus asset type diversification. Yes. And we do some internal diversification, right? So like,
we filmed this episode from our office, which is a small commercial office building in the Chattanooga, Tennessee market. We've rented out all of the suites downstairs on what are called a full service lease, where somebody just wants an office away from their home or they're running a business. I mean, we've got a barber shop and a chiropractor for two examples downstairs. And, that includes your utilities, your internet, and obviously your office space. And we maintain all the common areas, right? That's one type of property. So we also have apartments.
Yeah, so we have a couple of office buildings. We've got an industrial building. I've got a retail shopping center. We have apartment buildings. We have single family homes. We have duplexes. You build houses, flip houses.
We flip properties.
So all real estate, but diversified across different types of real estate. Yeah. And then in addition to that, you can also diversify against location, right? So we have some stuff in Chattanooga. We have some stuff in Georgia. We have some stuff in Alabama. That's a form of diversification. Now, this is still Southeast diversification. So you could take that even further and go to, say, like investing in a hotel in New Mexico. Right, for example.
Interesting. Why did you pick that stat?
Because we happen to own a hotel in New Mexico.
Yes.
And no, granted, that was
six tenths of a percent, just to be clear.
Oh, well, you have a lot more than me. I have 0.3%. So between the two of us, we own 1% of a hotel. But in fairness, that is another form of diversification, because in that particular case, we invested in a friend of ours deal and in a syndication that he was doing, and we're able to do that, take some resources from Chattanooga and put them in a completely different form, different place. Now, do I expect to get as good a return on someone else's deal as I would on, say, like this office building?
Yeah.
No, I don't actually, because I know that part of return is specialization. Yeah. And yes, I think our friend who has the hotel and runs it, very good at what he does, but I'm not very good at running hotels. I've never run a hotel.
Well, and that touches on a good point in that, with our stuff, when we do syndications, we're the active, the general partners, we're the ones running it. But we have investors. And we've syndicated, commercial, we've done office, right? We've done industrial, we've done condo conversion projects, right? And then we've done, apartment buildings, all different things within real estate that fall under that big umbrella. And we've had investors that have invested with us across the spectrum of those things. So you don't have to actually become an expert yourself in doing this, but you do as an investor, if you have relationships with people that do know those things, you're able to leverage those to your advantage because you can invest in their deals and you're utilizing their time.
Right, and that's another form of diversification, right? Time diversification, because there is only so much time.
Yes.
And what you put your focus on, you're going to do better in that. And truthfully, nothing against syndicators. I love them. Obviously, we do that as well. But if I invest with somebody else, they're taking a piece of that deal off the table, right? They're keeping some of it for themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. There's nothing wrong with that. They need to get paid just like everyone else needs to get paid. But if I did that work myself, I would get that. It's no different than if I hire an assistant. If I pay my assistant, that's less money for me. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to hire an assistant.
Did you ever fill that job assistant listing you were looking at recently?
No, not yet. So I'm taking applications. But the point is, when I fill when I fill that position, it will take money out of my pocket, but it will free up my time to focus on things that are maybe more productive. It's no different with investing in real estate.
Yeah. Anything else we should touch on?
Well, I mean, again, the thing about diversification is it's a decent strategy. This is just to summarize, right? It's a decent strategy. And it's also a niche strategy, right? Like you can diversify across different stocks or different real estate plays, which I do recommend people do if they don't have the time to focus. But whenever you focus on something, you have a potential for a greater return than you would from just pure diversification. And so you have to find that balance that works for you. For some people, just throwing their money out there and diversifying, we have a couple of investors that have invested in literally thousands of apartment units over the country, all over the country. And their whole investment strategy is, I'm going to diversify in real estate. I'm going to put money with Brian and Jeff. I'm going to put money with so-and-so. I'm going to put money with whatever. And by doing that, they're diversifying across real estate. And there's nothing wrong with that. But their return's necessarily going to be smaller than somebody who focuses and does well. Of course, they also have less risk. That's the point of diversification. It smooths that curve. And so, is diversification good? Is it bad? The answer is yes. And so that is the old.
No guarantees either right or wrong.
Oh, I'm definitely right. It is either good or bad or both. All right, well, listen, if you guys are enjoying our show, or if you just want to spend more time with Brian, all you got to do is call 310. No, just give us a thumbs up, and Brian will reach out to you directly if you telepathically communicate with him. Thank you so much for being here, and until next time.
That's a wrap.